kind of starting to look. Hey, thank you, Dennis. I'm gonna have to go to Facebook and look at your photo because I only see like a real small avatar. But he thought he was, this is just my opinion, okay? All alleged, of course. But I sort of feel like Mr. Elizondo, he worked his, normal government job, okay? And he used that. He used the fact that he worked at the government as some sort of talking point in an effort for people to look at not only UFOs, I guess more serious, but ho. I think he's a government plant, okay? But I really think it was more so for him. I don't think it was really more so about bringing attention to the topic. I think that Mr. Elizondo wanted the attention. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been saying this. I feel like he's a government plant. And those that know me know that I'm not really all that big on conspiracy theories. Mr. Patriotic, right? Mr. I'm patriotic, right? I would never say anything to ruin, my government's credibility, even though our government lies to us every step they take. I feel like he knew that if people were to look it up, they were to look up whether or not he was employed by our government, the United States government, that would have been validated, right? I don't think he counted on the in-depth digging that would take place. Man, Lue Elizondo has been absolutely exposed. Period. Not only did, now you've heard of the Black Vault, right? You've heard of the Black Vault. The man that runs the Black Vault, he noticed even some things when the story came out, right? There was the New York Times. There was a couple really big newspapers that ran a story on Mr. Elizondo. See, here's the thing. When you came out and said that you had directed this program and everything like that, people were looking at you to sort of put like a solid face on all things, right? UFO, right? People are wanting disclosure at this point. And it got really frustrating seeing Mr. Elizondo do all these interviews, and people were like looking to him like he was the voice of the UFO community. He just always came off like a government plant to me. I never thought he if you're going to talk to people, especially like that's very small community, I would have more so expected like a Bob Lazar. I think, there's a couple of people there, right? George Knapp, okay? He just came out of nowhere. Was Lue Elizondo a man that was bored with his job, okay, his government job, and, he has all this pride for his country, and he was interested in UFOs, and then he figured he'd come out and integrate himself into the community? Or is he a government plant? Is he the beginning of the government's form of disclosure? Was he put out here to sort of soften and massage the American people? That's what I think. I sort of kind of get just, listen, and I think I'm giving a little bit of credit there when I say that, because if it's not that, then Mr. Elizondo, okay, Lying Lue, is a liar and has been completely discredited. I know that I know that the basement office did their due diligence on Mr. Elizondo. Okay, they did their due diligence. Not only was there not a program called AATIP, all right, but you guys know as well as I do, when you're reporting on stories involving government crimes, we do a lot of crime and justice type content over here, right? We got to get those names right? Names, places, dates, times. Those are all basics, right? And they're all basic things. But everything wasn't so basic and easy, though, when it comes to Mr. Lying Lue. Multiple different names of this program, okay? Some calling it Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Some calling it Advanced Aviation Threat, whatever. It is very, very possible, and it's very, very possible that the duties in which Mr. Elizondo carried out, okay, at his time working at the Pentagon, may not have involved UFOs at all. Hey, Blair, at all. At all. It hurts. It hurts. Wow. It's looking like we have all been duped. That's what it's starting to look like. I want to show you guys something really quick. So I'm going to drop a link as well for those of you in the chat. And hold that thought. You're going to want to see this. This is, I think, the documentary, short style documentary, mostly, I would say, news piece, okay? Has 100,000 views so far. I loved the beginning, by the way. I absolutely loved that rhyme in the beginning, okay? It was hilarious. Oh my gosh. Hold that thought. I want y'all just to see a small clip here. I've already got it ironed out here. This is shocking, all right? Freaking shocking. Check it.
Admits that telling Congress about AAWSA would be counterproductive. Their efforts appear to have paid off. Bipartisan congressional leaders like Senators Kristen Gillibrand and Marco Rubio helped create a new UFO program at the Pentagon. The new program is called the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. And another domino falls. I'm gonna leave you with one more thing. Lue Elizondo said he had nothing to do with AAWSA. Nothing to do with the werewolves and ghosts and goblins. Nothing to do with AAWSA. However, in May 2021, Elizondo filed a complaint with the Department of Defense Inspector General's office. Written in his own words, signed with his signature, Elizondo's complaint accuses some at the Pentagon of smearing his reputation by releasing statements denying his involvement as director of AATIP. In his complaint, which I obtained a copy of, he outlines, in detail, each and every role he claims to have had from 2008 to 2017. In 2008, he says he joined James Lakatsky on AAWSA. His role was, in his words, AAWSA's Chief of Counterintelligence and Security. From 2008 to 2010, Elizondo describes his various duties with AAWSA, including reviewing incoming reports from BASS. In April 2010, he writes, Dr. Lakatsky approached me and asked if I would consider assuming the role of AAWSA and AATIP director. And in May 2010, he says his new role was director for AATIP and AAWSA.
So he basically got caught lying. He said he was not a part of that program. What is going on, Lou?
I think we should stop and ask ourselves, how did we get here? What stories brought us here?
Oh my gosh.
Who told those stories? Are we closer to the truth? Or are we further away? Perhaps to find the answer, instead of waiting for the next domino to drop, maybe there's only one thing left to do.
Man, this really, really hurts the UFO community. And Mr. Elizondo, he went on the attack, from my understanding, in a way.
A true story will stand the test of time. Change
God,
one
this is
thing,
awful.
and it can look completely different, like something else altogether. If you went back...
I sort of feel like Lou intentionally, guys, I really feel like he's some sort of plan. I don't know what it is. There's something very weird about Lou. But again, this, just when it seemed like we were getting some steam, right, in the UFO community, finally getting some mainstream steam, then the supposed most solid, right, government official, right, who sort of puts this face, right, onto the whole UFO topic, isn't what he claimed that he was. And this is not, I don't feel like this is a hit piece either. This has been something that has been rumored for a few years now. I've even mentioned it before. I've mentioned it to you guys a lot about how something's off about Lou. He just kind of came out of nowhere, right? Shocking, to say the least. But I hope it does not stop people from continuing to do the hard work, and getting exposure to this topic, all right? The whole topic of UFOs, UAPs. And Dennis, I have to highlight this because I agree. I sort of feel like he was put out here to almost steer people away because people are just getting too close, right? I mean, for God's sakes, Congress is talking UFOs at Capitol Hill. So I've watched the government use all sorts of different tactics. And all of a sudden, this guy, he comes out of nowhere. And, why would you ever think Lou's a liar? He looks pretty straight-laced, pretty, basic. And he's a government guy. And, all those government guys, they tell the truth. Right? They're always telling the truth about everything, right? But why would Senator Harry Reid have written that letter if he did not direct the AATIP program? Is there a bigger conspiracy here? Is Lue, now known as Lying Lue, is it possible that the government put him out here to do all, because that was the other thing. It was all these amazing interviews he was getting, right? For a guy that just came out of nowhere, all right? To try to make it like he's the face of the the topic of everything UFO. I thought it was really strange that he was getting all these really top-notch type interviews. Washington Post, New York Times. We're talking about the #1 newspapers in the United States. When usually something like that would have started in the National Enquirer, right? Shit. You get to talking about UFOs and UAPs and aliens and all that sort of a thing. This wasn't taken seriously by mainstream media for a long time. And it really felt like, it really feels like he was planted out here. For all we know, Senator Harry Reid could have been behind it. We don't know. But what is a good tactics that you would use, right, to kind of steer people away? It's deflection, disinformation. Disinformation is a very effective method to deter. If you come out and, you put a government face on everything UFO, and all of a sudden you're seeing him doing interviews with the Washington Post, you're seeing him doing interviews with the New York Times, you see him getting all these major pieces, all this attention out of nowhere. It just came out of left field. Kind of makes you wonder if our government is trying to steer us in some sort of disinformation tactic. I've even went so far as to say that it could be possible that Lue Elizondo could be an unwitting government plant. Maybe they used him because they knew that he liked the topic of UFOs. Who knows? But think about this. Jeremy Corbell, right? Tyler over at the Secure Team, right? Bob Lazar, George Knapp, like all these people, Linda Moulton, like all these people were so used to seeing. I mean, there's a slew of others, okay? Dr. Greer, right? Third Phase of the Moon, all those guys over there. Why Lou? Why Lou? Why some guy out of nowhere? I don't know. There's something more to this. And I don't know what it is. And I hope that we find out what that it is. Okay, whatever that is. Because we just want the truth. We just want to know. All right. This has been a topic that has been discussed since the beginning of time. And really it comes down to, like, is he a government plant or is he just a cloud chaser? Okay. But I find it, you've got, like I just mentioned, all the list of people, right? Damn, they didn't even get their start like that. I bet one of them would have loved to get an article, in the Washington Post or the New York Times to launch their so-called UFO career. But instead, it's like being out here, you're constantly having to fight against, no, I'm not a nutcase. No, like, I'm not even big into conspiracy theories. I'm really not. But you are labeled a nutcase when you broach upon the topic, especially if you take it very serious. Bob Lazar was called everything but the child of God, okay? And he was telling the truth the whole time. And I remember being a 12-year-old kid seeing that news clip with Bob Lazar when he came out and told the world about Area 51. I was just a kid, and I remember it was shocking. Nobody even knew what Area 51 was at that time. It's like the way that he was treated versus the way Lue Elizondo was sort of treated. It almost seems like it was like a well organized publicity run of some type. Because I was just like, why? Every time I turn around, I'm seeing this guy on, the type of getting the type of media coverage that I would think would be reserved for more long-term folks that have sort of proven themselves. But this guy just comes out of nowhere. And I really feel like that could have been part of the publicity run to try to put that face, to put out that plant, right? What better? You get a guy that likes the topic of UFOs. He loves this country. He's patriotic, right? You can tell he's a very patriotic person. He even said at one point, like, he had top secret clearance and he would never be able to speak on certain things because of said clearance. But the truth is, if you really love this topic and you really want to get to the bottom of it and you know something that could help the entire world, I think many people would have got it out some kind of way, even if they had to drip it or leak it through somebody else, But just to see this guy come out of left field like that, and all of a sudden he's, being featured, and we're talking not even just news articles, we're talking video content as well. Look, you search YouTube right now, search Lue Elizondo's name, and you're gonna come, like, one of the first links is a Washington Post vlog that he did. Oh, of course the Pentagon or the head people in the government would have said, hey, we got to get him a press run. All we got to do is just get him in one or two of the major newspapers, drum up a little interest, and we'll make him the face. Maybe he'll never, y'all, I could go on and on with, look at me trying to build a conspiracy here. I'm not trying to build a conspiracy. I just think that it's very unfortunate. While many of us little guys, okay, we sit out here, we work really, really freaking hard to expose the truth, all right? You know how difficult it is to be a content creator in the UFO community? Every single time I do a video on Skinny Bob, I get weird copyright takedown requests, companies that don't even exist, okay? Just weird stuff happens every single time. I can tell when I'm hitting on something, and every time. And it's like all that type of content I'm always having and struggling and having issues. And our videos get pushed down in the algorithm. We're not taken seriously. And it's very frustrating. And some of us have been talking about ufology, alien, cryptid, cryptozoology, all this sort of stuff for year upon year upon year upon year. I have been vlogging, I would say blogging / vlogging, all right? It's like 1999, 2000. Got my first website back in 99. Wrote my first blog back in 99. I remember when I said to myself, I think I'm gonna vlog. I think I'm gonna blog. It was 23, 24 years ago. I did all my blogging in written form, like many of us, right? Like many of you guys may be familiar with. And just sort of as time went on, it sort of materialized into more vlogging. than blogging. I have a technology background, and I could see the signs. I would say about 7, 8 years ago that video content was going to take precedent over all content. People prefer video content. They would rather watch video content than actually read a blog post, believe it or not. You were delivering mail then, Dennis. But all those years, oh my gosh. And I look at it, it's like it's 2022. I mean, literally, I was blogging on a 14.4 baud modem. It was awesome when 56K came out. Oh, I thought I was the shit. OC3, all right. And then fiber. And then there's talk about how fiber's actually been around for decades upon decades upon decades, right? Start hearing things about even in some UFO craft that there's, specific chemicals that are actually ran through fiber optic cable. And its byproduct is radioactive, that sort of a thing. But you just heard of FiOS in the last decade, right? What if FiOS has been around since the 60s, y'all? There's talk that it has been. There's talk that a lot of our technology has come from, various different groups of alien beings, okay? Highly advanced alien beings. So, it's like all the trouble that we go through to push our content out, all right? To get acceptance. People, in this community lose channels, they lose all sorts of stuff. Oh, I'm gonna strike that video. I don't like I don't like that. We're gonna take that video down. We're gonna push the algorithm. We're gonna get you on out the algorithm. We're gonna shadow ban you, so that way your content isn't even brought up in the search engine. And then this nut job. Now, is he? Is he a nut job? I don't think he's crazy. But I think that it really hurts the UFO community for this sort of expose to come out. I really do. It's unfortunate because it really feels like we were just sort of building. We still are, okay? But that momentum is finally there. Finally, after all these years. That momentum's finally there. We've got it. We've got the momentum. We're finally getting people to talk about it. We are finally, we've got Congress discussing the topic of UFOs. Finally. This is something we could have only dreamed of in the 80s and 90s, even in the early 2000s. And I just think it's very unfortunate that this man managed to ingratiate himself into the UFO community like that. And it turns out it's the UFO community that's exposing him. Now, my understanding is Lue did hit back. Not only did he hit back in regards to this interview with Megyn Kelly, there were some text messages that dropped. And they weren't very nice. And in these text messages, Elizondo tried to discredit some of the main players that have been in the ufology community for years. Some that have sacrificed damn near everything. Now all of a sudden they're crazy and felons. Is this a clout chase? Is this a clout chase? Or is this the government's plant to deter or deflect from something? If you have not had an opportunity, make sure you get over, okay? Make sure you get over to the LeakYou.com YouTube channel. And make sure you check out all the channels in our featured channel list. Also check out our Facebook page. We also have Twitter. Shout out to all you Twitterers. And our Twitchers as well. You can find us on all platforms. Search LeakYou. And I'm looking forward to what's going to come out of this. I know that I will be discussing this some more. This will not be the only video I'm going to do on this. I'm going to do a little bit more gathering for you guys. We're going to be breaking some things down. I'm going to look at some of this evidence that has been put out in the public's eye. And I just want to say to those in the ufology community, keep pushing. Keep pushing. Stay you. Stay true. And always do things with truth. Until next time, y'all.